Hello and welcome to the Dive Bar, where I dive into the games of the week. Today's episode is just going to be a mini episode going over the last few games of week 8, so the next episode can just cover the week 9 games. So because of that, I am just going to be alone again. So let's get right into it. Another kind of quick, sort of, I don't want to say low production, but the sort of like this. No clips or anything, just because it's a short, kind of casual episode. But still some good games to talk about. First up, 1IQ versus BW. 1IQ winning in 2 matches. And somehow Rihi keeps getting Yon. This is Rihi's 5th Yon game this season. He's had it 5 of the 8 weeks that they've played at this point. Which, it sounds like it's not a lot, but also is Rihi's most played champion in the season so far. So I don't know how he's allowed to keep getting this champion. It's crazy. Obviously, game 1, just a Yon stop. Not to devalue what the rest of his team did too. Sleepy Panda actually had some pretty good plays in that first game. But yeah, and Barren Wasteland also played it out pretty well because it kind of took a while for 1IQ to manage to find the victory in the end. So, BW stood up pretty well. But in the end, game 2, kind of just an all-around 1IQ stomp. So, yeah, that was rough. Rihi did really well. Wandering Monarch, I think that was the first reworked Swain picked in the beer league. So, a little exciting to see. Reworked Swain actually hasn't been doing too good, and I feel like in this series particularly, part of the reason that it looked so good was just because of how ahead 1IQ was. So I don't really know that this is a game that can be fair to judge New Swain on. So I wouldn't jump on picking this too early, but maybe I could be wrong. That's very easy for me to be wrong. But overall, 1IQ, doing amazing. Dunavon, Sleepy Panda, Wandering Mark, Super Noob, just all of them doing incredibly. Super Noob, you looking at that kill participation? I need to bust out a calculator. 88% kill participation. That is crazy. That is actually so crazy. But yeah, the entire team did really well. Also, I think it was brought up on the broadcast, and I have to vouch for it too because I played like a game of it a couple weeks ago, and I was like, man, how is this champ like balanced? This doesn't feel like fair for the other person. But Shen seems kind of ridiculous right now. I don't know. This champ doesn't seem fair to me, but I don't play top that often, so I can't say too much about it. But yeah, Shen kind of seems ridiculous. Rihi, as always, seems kind of ridiculous. Please stop giving him Yon. And Swain, we'll see. We'll see how that's going. Because it went well for the one game, although I don't think it's a fair game to base it on. But with that, we'll move on into the next game, game 2, or series 2. ABW versus 2 winning in just 3 matches. And right off the bat, game 1, Mpex bringing out Corki ADC and absolutely just dominating on it. I mean, that Corki ADC looked disgusting. I remember when they first changed Corki, so that way they were supposed to be an ADC, and then they just were getting taken mid every single game instead of taking bot lane at all. I don't even think their bot lane Corki win rate was doing particularly well. And obviously Corki's mid lane success hurts Corki's bot lane success when they have to nerf Corki mid lane. So overall, it didn't go too well for Corki bot lane. But then Mpex just MPEX was like, nope, it is a thing. You guys gotta play it apparently. So yeah, that was looking really, really crazy game one. Going down into game two, I just want to like immediately highlight L on Morgana. Um, the build was like they were cooking. I love the I think it's Shirelia's. I need to get the item names on this, but pretty sure uh like they made the game really difficult for ABW in a very like silent way with the Morgana shields. They were like always just canceling out ABW CC and also just supplying so much CC, especially because along with their R, they can use their support item speed boost to stay caught up and actually apply the RCC. I remember there was a time where L was like running an MPEX with their R, let the R finish, MPEX cleansed, try to get away, but then L just hit them with Q, and then MPEX died. So yeah, L was doing really, really great game too. There were so many Zoe bubbles and Vigar cages that were just completely canceled out by L. It was really just that Morgana was like so impactful, crazy good. And then going down into game three, ABW had some connection issues with really bad Zed, so they had to do like some last minute swapping. Weren't able to redraft though. They had like already done the draft, had the connection issues, so they stuck with the draft and swapped some things around. I don't know if that's necessarily what hurt their performance, but you know, it did look like ABW was standing a good chance in games 1 and 2. Game 2 obviously just being, I feel like, partially L. I mean, not to discredit the rest of the team, but like L, I feel like was like really sleeper carrying that game. But obviously, you know, Slam Right Jack doing a little bit carrying. Fusro was pretty good that game too as well. I have to admit, Fusro was doing pretty good that game too. But then in game 3, it's just, yeah, I don't know like how much the sort of sub hurt them. Hopefully not too much. But regardless, I think 2 performed really well. I think L, not as much of a sleeper carry on the Seraphine, but still was doing pretty good, to be honest. Like really impressive performance on the Seraphine, in my opinion. So I was quite delighted by that. But yeah, I think this is gonna kind of wrap up that series. You know, Fusro and Slam Right Jack again, they did really good. I think Lynch Draco was doing good in their matches as well. I mean, not looking as like stellar as like Fusro and Slam Right Jack were though. Definitely Fusro and Slam Right Jack were like kind of at the front of everything, looking really impressive. And then L, I think, did a really good job of backing them up, being a kind of quiet carry. So I liked that. But with that, now hopping into the last series I'm going to talk about in this sort of mini episode. PSR versus KGB. PSR obviously winning in 3 matches. And, you know, it was actually kind of disappointing to see this one. It felt like a very typical PSR series where they throw game 1. Game 2, they do the PSR Classic where they are just like losing, but at the same time winning somehow. It doesn't even make sense. Actually, I remember watching this one and like looking at the top of the top scoreboard the entire time, being like, okay, but like they have equal towers. PSR has more objectives. PSR has more kills. Somehow, no, sorry, I had that backwards. KGB has more objectives. KGB has more kills. Somehow PSR with like less kills and either like the same amount of towers or maybe one more or less had the same amount of gold, and I was like, this doesn't make any sense. Like, I don't know if it's the bounty changes that made it become even closer or something, just because KGB wasn't able to farm the kills as effectively, because I don't know. It felt weird. It didn't feel right because it was like they had. I mean, PSR just had like less overall. It wasn't even like a case where they had like more turrets. They might have had like one more turret, but like that making them completely equal when they were like almost 10 kills behind is kind of crazy. But yeah, so that was game 2, and then game 3 was just PSR winning. Like it was just PSR winning the game, winning the macro, winning the early. Like they just won everything, and so that's how it feels like a lot of PSR series go recently. Is it's like throw some weird macro gold issue, and then they just win, But yeah, I mean, not to say that game 1's a throw necessarily, as much as they just lose, because I think that Pyroan does deserve some credit for how well they played in game 1, as well as Empirical. Both players were doing really good. Pyroan primarily doing amazing. I mean, look at that, 15-2, has over half, no, not over half, roughly half their team's kills. So much of their damage. It was just, yeah, like Pyroan did really great in that game 1. And moving on into game 2, PSR's first win of this series. Like nobody's scoreline is looking that impressive on PSR's team. Their damage looking good, looking really good. Zesty Queso, the shrooms were crazy. I think this is Teemo's first win. I don't want to say it's the first Teemo win. Okay, it's the first Teemo win, which I'm happy about. I wasn't sure if it was the first like ASU Teemo win or the first Teemo win. It's first Teemo win. And I'm pretty happy about that. Highest damage in the game. Those shrooms are toxic. They are dangerous. So I'm glad to see that. This game, I remember specifically, they were staying like pushed out a lot, pretty impressively. Like they'd be missing like all of their outer turrets, and they had like a line of vision going across the map, and all of their waves pushed up past mid. It almost felt like they like weren't missing their turrets at all. So that was like pretty impressive, to be honest. How much they just kept control over the map, even while not having the things that establish the control for free for you. So pretty impressive game 2 from PSR. KGB looked like they had it for a while, and then it kind of just fell out of their control at a Baron fight towards the end. Was that this game, or was that the other game? Maybe that was this. Maybe that was the third game. I can't remember if that was the second game or third game. But one of the games, I think it was game 2, where KGB kind of lost it. No, maybe it was game 3. I don't know. That aside, game 2, a different thing to discuss is that a lot of times that KGB and PSR fought, KGB kind of was like completely disconnected from themselves. Like every time that KGB was fighting, if you look at the like later game fights, like past 20 minutes, PSR is always like having KGB split up in different places. And so I think that really hurt KGB because they were winning fights early, and then they just kept getting into like sort of bad positions with their fights. So that was kind of their main downfall in game 2. And then game 3, they just PSR just kind of did good. PSR said, hey, let's pick an ADC now. Briar's cute feet just danced all over the rift and did great. So, yeah, that one was just kind of a stomp. So, yep, that's all I really have to say about that series. It was just, the PSR classic of lose, half win, full win. They ramp up so severely. It makes me terrified to think what could happen in a best of 5, I guess. But yeah, with that will be the games for the week, but that's not it. That's not the end of the episode because we still have Player of the Week, Player of the Mini Week. which I'm gonna give it to L because of how much I feel like they were just such a sleeper carry. I feel like they were so important and impactful with like without even like really necessarily being noticed. And also, I liked the way that they built. Uh, it feels a lot more like confident in a way. I don't know. It's kind of a weird thing to say. To say that it feels like confident, but yeah. And with that, I also do want to give like an honorary mention to what is it? Fusro. Fusro did really good on the Shyvana. I think they deserve an honorary mention. I like the build. It wasn't just full AP, it was the AP AD mix. I really like it. It worked out well. I also really like a splash tank in there. It was a good cook and it worked pretty well. So yeah, I liked that overall. And with that, usually I hop into the sort of top teams and the future games here, but I'm gonna kind of mix those both into a new little thing. Because this was recently posted in the Discord. I mean, by the time this comes out, it'll be quite a few days ago because I'm just a little behind. I was getting caught up in the games recently, just super busy recently. Now I'm more free, so I'm finally getting caught back up on everything. But looking at this, hopefully, can I get this? So I zoom it in. Okay. Yeah. So Trevor, my back is sore. Posted this recently. Really nice, really helpful. Kind of shows a lot of the exciting games coming up. And let me just make sure. Yeah, so far, as I'm recording, CR versus PSR and 2 versus IQ have been played. And so those two series kind of, like, don't matter, in a way. They kind of do, a little bit. But, obviously, the 3 series listed here are the ones that matter the most. Raw versus LS is being played tonight as I'm recording this. So I don't know. This will probably go out Thursday or Friday. I don't know. So this one will already be determined. But yeah, it's exciting because it shows like wow, even down to the last week, there's still like so many different possibilities that could be happening. And honestly, I think personally, if I had to rate it, I would, because that's what usually happens at this point. I think we're probably gonna see. I want to say KGB beats ABW. Honestly, I don't know how that's gonna go. I think it's hard to say. I'm a fan of HH, but I think BW might beat HH as well. And then I think LS can beat RAR, but I don't know if I actually think that or if I just want to think that. But also, if that happens, a heck ton of tiebreakers are going on. So that's exciting. But basically, kind of some of the main takeaways are that ABW versus KGB, whoever wins that, locked in. Whoever loses that, are they guaranteed? There's a chance that they have to go through a tiebreaker if they lose that. And then BW versus HH, that one's an intense fight. If you win it, even if you win it on some of these situations, you're not necessarily going to be securing a slot. So it's intense. I don't want to go over too in depth into every scenario. It's because it's kind of a lot to go over. And it's just, I don't know, there's so many hypotheticals, and it's kind of pointless for me to go over them if a lot of the hypothetical chance is going to be sort of eliminated tonight while I'm recording, and then it's going to be like completely different by the time I post this. So, I don't know. It's exciting. I love how close it is. it's kind of crazy how like actually balanced the beer league manages to feel. The point buy system seems to be working really well, so really glad to see that. And yeah, that's gonna be it for this week. Keep an eye out for these matches because these matches are really exciting. And thank you for watching. Thank you for playing. We will be back, I don't know, with another episode like Tuesday, I think, or Monday. I'm not sure. I'm not 100% sure what's happening yet because I just need to wait for the games to happen and then see what I can make happen. But there's probably going to be another episode early next week instead of later next week. So yeah, that'll wrap it up for this episode of Dive Bar Minisode Week 8. So again, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Thank you for playing the Beer League. Have a good week.